The Bureau of European Design Associations was delighted to hold the Design as a Driver for Policy Innovation and Social Change event on November 10, 2016, in collaboration with Miltiadis Kyrkos, member of the European Parliament in Brussels.
I'm an active designer and a design activist, so I am a practicing designer, even though I'm director, and that is me out doing research on the London taxi. That's not a gun that I'm holding, that is a camera. We're not forcing this lady to tell us something, we're encouraging her.
Following the successful 2015 edition, Putting Users First, the BEDA Clusters Design for All and User Design presented a selection of best practice cases, events and activities on user-centered design undertaken by their members to European policymakers from across the EU institutions.
Design needs to work across sectors, it can work across communities, it can work across countries. Incredibly important for the EU. Design may not save the world, but it'll bring us close.
Design is no longer being seen as the sort of thing that you add on at the end of a process, but actually design and strategic use of design is being something that is integrated right from the beginning. And when we do that, we really make a real impact, and things are done differently.
I think design thinking for me represents three things. It's co-creating with everybody together, not in silos. It means looking at the customer or the user in the first instance, not at technology. And it means using prototypes and design methods to very quickly iterate and create something that you can test with the people to see if it works. We did interview customers, we talked to the staff, we did benchmarking, flew to New York and Lisbon and so on. And what we found is it's really prescription only. We also found the pharmacist is stuck behind the counter. Really, it's the two aspects you need to bring together, working on the customer experience with prototypes and user insights, but also upskill the workforce, the people who are delivering the service.
We are working for Atrium Brussels, is a regional agency focused on retail and the development of the economy of retail and shops around the region. We had an idea at this moment, so Leo and I thought about creating a project as a living lab, and it worked. We are now in November, already 4 projects have been done, 6 are already done, they still have like 2 months to go, but the results are there.
One of the things that's come across for me is that we've not only been talking about design thinking, but design doing. The more we can actually demonstrate design in practice, making a difference, the more we can actually get the story across really well.
The gathering was also a unique opportunity to boost collaboration and knowledge sharing with BEDA Clusters. A major part of BEDA's strategy over the next few years will be focusing on issues that BEDA members see as being key to the future development of design, primarily by sharing insight and best practices to ensure a well-informed and unified approach.
Going much precisely going through following them in workshops and practicing with them.
We have to start thinking beyond different sectorial borders as we are supporting projects that are already crossing national borders, and we believe that supporting expertise exchange, experiences exchanges will help eventually the sector grow in Europe. Obviously design, and you've heard it today, and we know it and we're getting used to it, it's also a very practical thing. With the funds that we have, we can achieve something. But we, of course, need your help also to develop the stories and to say why it is important to support the sectors and the networks and the projects and things like that.
How do we take some of the great principles that we've been talking about today? How do we move them from being the local things that they are at the moment to something which are even bigger and more meaningful?
I know in my case, I very often had profited from having good colleagues that I met in networks around Europe. Take those with me, whether we're talking about convincing my own government or bureaucrats about new elements that we could introduce.
I think that the sharing and networking is very important, and today it's a good example is also to share the different network that we have.
I think that's the sort of final thing that we should all take away from today's session. It's been really stimulating. I want to say a huge thank you to the speakers who put time and effort into coming today.
The BEDA Insight Forum event and clusters are part of the project Design Europe 2021, designed for cultural and creative growth. This project is co-funded by the Creative Europe programme of the EU.